Hello, my beautiful Sagittarian friends. Ooh, I am excited to sit down and have this chat with you today. There is so much going on in January to open up our new year of 2022. And I think, most of you here, maybe not all of you, but a lot of you here are deeply aware of the fact that the south node of the moon has been in Sagittarius for a little while. I believe the date that it moved was May 4th. So it's been a solid year and a half, a little bit more, that we have been working with the South Node in Sagittarius. And I am happy to report that this month, the node is going to move from Sagittarius into Scorpio. And this really does change the dynamic of the Sagittarius family. It changes the way we are moving through this world, how it feels. It's taking a little bit of the pressure off of ourselves to do some of the deep learning that the South Node really did with us. Because here's the thing. I think people innately kind of dread this idea of the South Node, right? Because it's all about like karma and the things we're leaving behind and and limitation and restriction and all these things, right? Like it's associated with all this. But what happens here is that when we have a South Node, if you have a South Node moving through a sign that's very personal to you, it forces you to reevaluate your relationship with that energy that you work with and that is so dear to you. It helps you to rebalance, recalibrate, understand where maybe you were undercutting yourself or keeping yourself stuck in loops that had to do with that energy. And it also helps us to explore different aspects of ourselves that are not just like our natal, the way we kind of see ourselves, but also help us to explore who we can become outside of these rigid structures. So a lot happens with the South Node in your sign. It's not a wasted time. It's not a time that is denigrating. A lot happens. A lot of deep, deep personal growth happens. And there's a lot going on this month because we have the vast majority of Venus retrograde is happening the rest of the month here in Capricorn, all of January until the 29th when she goes direct. Mercury begins a retrograde in Aquarius and then moves back into Capricorn. We have these nodal shifts that are happening where the North Node moves into Taurus and the South Node moves into Scorpio on the 19th. Uranus moves direct, and we have a full moon in Cancer. So we have a lot of these really powerful, potent, big, bold, juicy energies that are all deeply spiritual and very much about us introspectively looking at how we've grown and changed. There's a lot going on, but I think we really should be focusing on this South Node discussion because here's the thing. I'm going to start shuffling while we talk about this. When I think about this shift, I think there's a lot of excitement. We have reason to celebrate. And I know last month I had the party hat on. I was like, it's Sag season. And this is, we're about to go through this big shift and we should celebrate. And truly, it is a point of celebration and graduation and culmination and growth. And it's very, very exciting. I'm feeling really, really happy about it. I think also something interesting happens when we go through such a huge learning cycle, like 19 months of the South Node in Sagittarius. And this is what I would say, all the reference points for, how we kind of maybe a couple of years ago, let's say beginning of January 2020, which, January 2020, me. I had no idea it was coming. Who did though? I think that was a reality check about that. I think we have reference points, right? We kind of naturally build reference points into our lives about, kind of how to gauge how we're doing well in life. Like what's our balance of the things that we're doing, how much travel we're doing or how much home time or, how productive we're being or how much rest we're getting. We all kind of decide the reference points. Oh, a card wanted to come out. Queen of Cups. Love this one so much. And we innately create those. And I think those are really useful. But when we've gone through a huge season of change, reference points that used to be very comforting and very consistent and very clear, and like we could go to those reference points and feel like, okay, I have anchored, I feel good, may not work the same way anymore. And this is really the main note I wanted to share with Sages. So if you've just gone through a huge season of change and it's kind of that critical mass point where you really understand like you have changed. Page of Pentacles. This guy's coming through a lot. January is a very revelatory clarifying month. It really helps paths open up. And I know that people are going to say, but it's Venus and Mercury retrograde. Doesn't that mean we're going to be confused? No, I'd say it's the exact opposite. Venus and Mercury retrograde when show you what is working and what you're going for, and show you what's got to go. They're very efficient, actually. It's very simple, very straightforward. Back to my point about huge growth cycles. We have this critical mass point where we realize we are not the same shape as we were a couple of years ago. We've got to start to build up new reference points that really reflect who we are now. Death. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, first of all, there's the North Node in Scorpio, because this is Scorpio's card. But I think also it's so interesting to really incorporate and understand that we are literally not the same beings, the same people that we were 2 years ago. I know I am going through this huge waves right now. I'll look around at things that used to just be like my reference points, my points of familiarity, my points of this is how I know I'm like in a good spot. Ace of Cups, hello, I love it. And like, they just don't do it for me the same way that they used to. And so I'm creating new ones. And that's what I want to say. January is going to be a wonderful month to proactively start to create reference points that really reflect the you now, and to help you like practice into embracing who you are now. I know you're mutable fire, so you are adventurous, open, you tend to be more curious and like, let's see what happens. And I love that about Sagittarius energy. However, I also think what's interesting about the Sagittarius South Node was that there was a little less trust in that innate, like, let's see what happens, free-spirited, mutable fire energy. So we're going to need to practice bringing that back slowly but surely and gently. And January is just the beginning of doing that. Believe me, that will amplify and get louder and clearer as we move through 2022. You will see what I'm talking about here. Also, though, I think this is just a really great month to really embrace and process how you've changed and grown, because that might include a little grief or a little bit of mixed emotions. It might include some discomfort or some surprise with yourself. And by the way, I'm pulling a fourth card from my Animal Totem Tarot to give us a little extra pizzazz today. Queen of Swords, Wolf. So beautiful. We'll get into that one in a moment. I think it's important to process that and to embrace, because it's much easier to move forward as who you are now once you have embraced that you have deeply, deeply changed. And that rather than trying to fight it or trying to put the pieces back just the way they were before this all happened. We let go of that. We get curious about who we are now. The path will be very clear. But let's get into these cards, because I've just been on a little tangent about this journey, and there is so much here in these cards. Like, where do we even begin? So Queen of Cups, what an interesting gal. She is bringing truth via our emotive awareness. In the cup, she's kind of meditating on her cup. Meditating on her feelings and things like that. And we can get a little too obsessive about our feelings, but I think the Queen of Cups really brings to the fore that it's so important to process emotions in January and let yourself do that. Process through what this South Node journey has been for you, because it probably has been a mixed bag. There's been some beautiful things. There's been some really hard things. And we want to give those emotions enough space to move through our bodies and be processed. And we physically need to express and feel emotion so that it doesn't stay trapped in our bodies. So for me, Queen of Cups is about we master our lives when we stop trying to master, tamp down, or avoid our emotions. And that is what the Queen of Cups teaches us. And with that, though, like what I find is really interesting is the Queen of Cups is immediately followed by 3 cards of breakthrough, including death. Yes, I'm going to say it. Death is a breakthrough card. So all 3 of these have to do with the road opening. Breakthroughs happening, things happening. But there's kind of a sacred conversation going on here that says your breakthroughs are coming. when you let yourself feel your complex emotions. You don't need to judge yourself for having the complex emotions. You don't need to suppress them. You're allowed to have them. I have found myself kind of having mantras around this a lot recently. I'm going through some huge changes in my life, and there's a lot of complex emotions there. But once I just accept that there is the duality and the multitude of emotions moving through me, I feel so much more relaxed. So, Page of Pentacles, that answer, that phone call, that conversation, that resource, that moment that clicks things so that you can move forward. Boom. Page of Pentacles is very straightforward that way. If there's an ingredient that you're waiting for that needs to come into the mix, and it doesn't need to be huge, it can really be as simple as the right phone call, the right collab conversation, the right opportunity to finally purchase that camera that you've been thinking about purchasing for a long time. I don't know. Page of Pentacles is very much that ingredient that we need to start moving forward. Death is also a breakthrough. I always say with death that the big part of this card is the sunrise behind kind of this hard, harsh figure of death. And that is because in endings, right, the endings of the South Node, the endings of a really big, potent, powerful, intense year, the endings of one chapter of life, there come many beginnings. And death is really about the embracing of those beginnings coming through. We can't be afraid of how we're changing or how those around us have changed. We can't be afraid of that. We can't put things back together the way that they were. I mean, we will feel fear sometimes, but the deeper emotion that we're really feeling is like sadness and grief and confusion sometimes even. I know for me, like, it's really interesting when I think about these last few years, because I remember I was in like a dance company and we did Middle Eastern style belly dance, and I was with them for years, and I did like a last show with them in the summer of 2019. Not knowing it was my last show, let me tell you, I was like, I'll be back in a few months. We'll do this again. And in the course of events of what happened in life and with the pandemic and all of that, I never did another show with those beautiful friends again. And it's one of those things that, like, only in looking back did I realize, oh my God, I lost this thing without even realizing I was about to lose it. And I had to process things like that, right? But instead of me trying to like put all the pieces together and try to pretend that that dance company is the same that it was 2 years ago, I am embracing that each one of those beautiful people in that group, we've all changed, we've all grown, we're still friends, and it's okay. It's okay, right? So that's just an example. But here's the thing, Ace of Cups, yes. What I'm kind of seeing here that's interesting is, like, let yourself feel your complex emotions, but also understand that that doesn't mean that January is just a month of you laying in bed feeling complex emotions. What I have found time and time again, this is just like tried, true, tested. When I let myself feel the hard emotions that I'm afraid are going to kind of take over my day, my week, my month, my year, right? I'm like, oh, if I let myself go there and look at that part of myself that's a little bit sad or a little overwhelmed or just tired or whatever, there goes my next 2 days. What I have found is if you let those emotions really honestly move through you, actually what happens is your energy amplifies, the day amplifies, and you actually get the next step. And Ace of Cups is about new sacred beginnings. So that was what I was saying. You might be feeling complex emotions this month, but don't get it twisted. It actually means things are opening up for you. It actually means like a lot of the roadways are clearing for you at this time. And this isn't even subtle. This is not subtle energy that's like, oh, it'll be kind of a vague little opening. No. We're talking full on new chapters beginning. And it's really, really exciting stuff too. So by the end of January, I'm telling you, you are going to have a lot more movement forward and clarity. Now, our final card is the Queen of Swords, the beautiful wolf. Look at her. So good. I love it. I love this especially because my sister's a Sag. She might be watching this. Hey, sis. And she loves wolves, so it seems fitting. Queen of Swords is about speaking the truth and cutting to the truth, right? really, really clearly. And the way that I see this is that you know what it is you want next. You know where it is you want to go next. And the Queen of Swords kind of cuts straight to the core of all of that and invites in that open door. I think Queen of Swords is also just a great clarifier. If there's been kind of a muddled situation, or you've been feeling muddled inside or a little bit worn out, up here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is very much winter. It's very easy to feel a little worn out, a little muddled, a little gray. The Queen of Swords kind of cuts through all of that and shows the path. There's a very simple, clear, crisp cut path headed your direction. I feel like this reading got like weirdly serious about these like heavy emotions and all of this. But I want to just remind you that this is a time of celebration, breakthrough, play, fun, emotive honesty and truth, and just roadways opening and clearing. And I do have a few just blessings to send your way for the beginning of this year, just to send us into the new year with the intentions of these beautiful things. So here we go. May this one be a year of adventures and exploration. May it be a time of connecting and love and enjoyment. May it be a year of creative expression and splashing colors onto the page. May it be a time when the Sagittarius heart feels alive and playful once again. Yes, I am so excited to see this rebirth occurring with the Sagittarius family. I wasn't able to get into Jupiter and Pisces on our discussion today because there's just too much to cover, but Jupiter, your ruler, will be in Pisces, your fellow mutable sign. And I think this is actually going to be really beautiful energy for Sagittarians. Because it's going to really uplift that Jupiterian quality, expand it, because Jupiter is also home in Pisces. And we're going to be seeing a lot of return to some of the more Jupiterian feelings and energies this year, which I'm looking forward to. I'm so ready for a different vibe. I mean, aren't we all? Pretty sure most of us are ready. I think we all suffered with South Node and Sagittarius, and now we realize what we were missing, right? So anyway, I would love to see you here. We do get a lot deeper on all of these topics that have to do with like Venus and Jupiter and all the transits that are coming up. It's where I can really dive deep and really give you a much clearer map of all of that. I can't cover that here in these readings. So I'd really love to see you on Patreon. It's a great community. You can also find me on my website. You can find me on my Instagram at Sarah Vrba. Be very aware, there's just the one true me. There's a lot of impersonators out there doing weird spellings and stuff like that. Just ignore them, report them, push them to the side. There's just me. I'll leave my handles so you know exactly where to find me. Website, email, Patreon, all that good stuff in the description box. I love you all so much. Have a gorgeous beginning to 2022, and I will see you on the other side.